Call me Mother.
Hide!
Holy Mother. Holy Mother.
Hello?
Hey, Terry, can you hear me?
Um,
Am I loud enough?
one sec. I'm not hearing any sound.
All right. Hi, chat.
Oh.
Just waiting on the man here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. My
That's
PC
all
is just, you know.
Give me 1 second.
Yep. One of the. Hey, I see you. Nice
Hey.
and clear.
All right, cool. Hang on 1 sec. There. Just trying to get everything set up here real quick.
Okay, 1 second. 1 second. All right, I gotta mute.
Hi, chat. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. All right. Let's see. Does this work? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Terry's not using his camera today. For everybody that's hanging out.
Yeah.
But that's all right. No big deal.
We're getting ready to move.
Yeah. You said that your office is a little disarray right now. Yeah.
Yep.
New office coming. Okay, so hey everybody that's tuning in from Twitch and on YouTube. My name is Onepeg. I'm a content creator for Dark and Darker. Obviously, we're going to talk with Terry today about the upcoming November patch. The primary focus of this, just so that everybody's kind of on the same page, we want to make sure that I set some ground rule stuff. First, this podcast is going to be centralized around a content patch that's coming in at some point this month, ideally. It's not going to be centralized on like bug fixes or things that you want to see changed for your current class or balance changes or bugs in the game. All of that stuff can be discussed with SDF or other members of the team in a future date. The other thing that will not be discussed is anything related to legal stuff having to do with Ironmace and their ongoing court cases, and whether or not or if the game is coming to Steam or any of that other stuff. This isn't the place for that. They can't answer those questions even if they wanted to, because it would not be in their legal best interest to do so. Okay? So just so that everybody's on the same page, none of that is going to get discussed over the course of this cast. What we're going to do is talk about all of the content additions that they're looking to add, what they've learned up until this point from the release of the game, and then obviously future-facing stuff after this patch and what we can come to expect. And I do have some media to share and whatnot for the purpose of this. All right. If you guys have questions that you want to ask, please ask your questions. I will try to get to as many of them as I possibly can while we work our way through this. But yeah. So Terry, how you been, man? You doing good?
Yeah, pretty good.
I can't complain.
Tired, as always. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could complain about, but that's probably this is not the place for that, right?
Complaining? I mean, you can always complain, but people have a tendency not to want to bother listening to that anyway.
Okay. People are saying I'm a little too quiet.
Yeah, I can turn you up. You've got like kind of like a little buzz thing going on in the background a little bit. I don't know if that's like.
It might be again, I'm using onboard sound.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's too crazy, I could switch to my phone on the AirPod, and that might be better.
Yeah, if you maybe if you want to do that, just because there is like a lot of buzz there.
Okay.
All right.
One sec, guys.
Sorry, boys. We'll get it dialed in. No worries. Hang on. Let me do that. That's a little bit better. There. Okay, that makes more sense. Sorry about that, chat. We'll get there. I just got away from the call back. We'll just there he goes. All right. All right.
Hello.
Yeah, it's still like there's still like a buzz there. I don't know.
Yeah. Here
You want me to just call you on the other? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Give me 1 sec. All right. Technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a stream without good technical difficulties, right? All right, hold up. Okay. I just got to get it popped out. You there?
Sounds better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's better. Let me just like say hi or something. Let me turn you up.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, that'll work. You sound good.
Everyone.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about my PC. It was...
Oh, it's fine. No big deal.
Yeah.
Just get this up here. All right.
Okay.
There's that. Okay. Yeah, should be good. Chat, good? Everybody good? Everybody here okay? Yeah? All right. Let me move chat over here so I can see what they're trying to say. Boy, I can read all the things. Trying to monitor 2 chat windows at the same time is kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's good. It's been a good time though, man. The YouTube stuff has been pretty sweet. Everybody on YouTube has been pretty cool. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll just go right into it. So in terms of the game launch up until now, how do you feel like things have been going? How have they gone? What have you learned? Dev process, that kind of stuff. What have been your impressions of how things have gone so far?
Oh boy, man. Okay. Yeah,
I know that's a really loaded, like, open question, but
Yeah. So okay, in terms of expectation, I think so again, for us launching, there's all this other stuff going on, legal stuff, and so that's why we had to launch so quickly or just suddenly.
Mhm.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been here from the very beginning, and they know that history is that we basically like 3 days before we're like, hey everyone, we're opening the game, going to early access, and so part of it was because we had the legal dispute, that legal cloud behind us, and so um, there was a lot of challenges because of that.
Yeah.
And so that's why we had to do it so abruptly, right?
Right.
And so now there's a bunch of the side effects because we did it so abruptly. And so that's where it's all coming to a head right now. So it's been tough. So I guess being very open is that it's been tough. But at the same time, we've been learning a tremendous amount. And as I apologize to all our users. You guys all know that it's been a huge roller coaster of a ride, right?
What do you mean? It's going super smooth, man.
Yeah.
Right, chat. Super smooth.
Yeah. So, but that's not the way we wanted it to go or intended. But I think this is the way that's the reality of it. But at the same time, we're learning a huge amount because of this, and we're super appreciative that all our players that have stuck with us through this turbulent time have been there for us. And so again, I just want to apologize that it's been that turbulent to begin with. So there's a lot of things that are out of my hand, circumstances wise, but beyond that, I would say it's gone better than expected. Like we're beyond pleased with the response from the players, people, actually being able to play the game, getting our game out there, especially on non-mainstream platforms. So like the amount of the amount of response has been exceeded our expectations, right? So and that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because there's all we weren't prepared enough, right? So we didn't have enough content. We still don't have enough content. That's the stuff that we're working on in terms of our developmental resources. So we did, we're addressing all these stuff, and this was a big, reality check for us, which is a good thing for us, right? So in terms of, I guess, player user base and stuff, it was a good amount, but it was a little bit overwhelming.
You got more players than you thought you were going to get, you mean?
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't know. We honestly didn't know, because if it was on Steam or on a mainstream platform, it was like, okay, yeah, the numbers we got, that wouldn't be too crazy or out of the ordinary. But like we built our own launcher in two months. Like there's 2 guys that literally built the entire platform, or three guys on that team that literally built the entire platform in 2 months, because there's a behind story. We were trying to get onto other platforms, and we're talking to other people, but those deals kind of fell through, and then in the end, it basically ended up becoming, hey, we just got to do our own thing. That's the only way that we could, 100% assure that we could get the game out there. And so, and it's a big unknown, right? So we have this thing, we built Blacksmith, and it's like, are people going to trust us? We're in this era of like Web3, and there's all these different types of scams and stuff, pyramid schemes and everything going on in the internet right now, right? It's like, hey, Blacksmith, what is this? Is this like a hidden, crypto miner or what? So all those things are going through, and our history too. When that last playtest, we didn't do it through like normal means. We just put it on torrents, So people were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" So that's why we didn't know really what to expect, right? We didn't know what to really expect, and then having the turnout that we did, that's just been amazing, over the moon for us. In terms of and I'll be honest about our expectations here too. So we have our what is it, like the P&L charts, how we think we're going to perform,
your profit and loss,
and
sure.
Yeah, and then in terms of like, even if we do get, so we have you try to model out for different performances, right?
Sure.
And so we're on like the upper scale of what the different models, but in all of those models is that we thought that the drop off was going to be much more severe than what we're actually seeing right now, because in our mind is that, hey, we don't have the content ready, right? We don't have enough stuff for people to do. We don't have we kind of realize that we're not in that state that, hey, things, when we were launching for those short limited time duration play tests, it's like it's easy to cover up a lot of your little flaws and stuff, but now we knew that, hey, this is going to go on for the longer duration. It's gonna like, all those little things are gonna just start coming up to the surface, and it's gonna we thought that, hey, there's a lot of little flaws, and as things progress longer and longer, these are going to come up a lot quicker. So at the stage we're at right now is that, of course, to us is like, it's kind of weird because your expectations change, so adjust so easily to even extraordinary circumstances. Like, when we started this project, we, like, literally in our original like pitch decks and stuff, when we were going out to investors, we were like, hey, if we get 3,000 concurrent users in our game, it's like, we're made. And that's beyond our expectations. If we get 5,000 concurrent users, oh man, Vegas baby, this is
so
we've succeeded. Yeah.
So what you mean to say is the sales that you got, even off Steam, exceeded your expectations originally. And even though you've had fall off with your player base, the concurrent players that you have now has far exceeded where you thought you would be at this point.
Yes.
So the game's dead, is what you're saying. Right? Dead game.
Well, no. So there's two ways to look at it, right? Is if I'm going back in time and I'm telling Terry from 2 years ago, hey, this is this day, I'll be just, get out of here. You're just insane, right? And I'll be just happy beyond my wildest dreams. But at this stage, it's like, oh, when we did hit like 50,000 concurrent users with the initial opening, and then now we're in around the 10,000. So we do see that drop off. Again, this is something that we did expect, and lucky for us is that we thought it would be quicker. So the fact that it took 3 months to get to this point where we still haven't been able to deliver as much content as we originally intended to, is that, okay, this is still a good foundation, good base. And it's still a good wake up call for us, right? So
right.
I think that's what you're going to see with this patch 2 that's coming out next week. So So
that was the first major question. Is the largest question is when? So approximated date range, something like that. We're talking end of next week, beginning of next week?
So internally, our goal is the 22nd. So 22nd.
Right before Thanksgiving, man. I'm leaving town, bro. You're killing me. I'm leaving town on the 22nd to go see my mom for Thanksgiving, and you're gonna release the patch while I'm leaving. God damn it! No, it's fine, man. No, do your thing.
Do these huge milestones right when you're on vacation, right? So
shit.
We have
it's
like
the second one, Terry.
Yeah. It's like when's Onepeg's next vacation? That's when we're gonna do all our major patches.
Every time I leave the house. Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't want to play the game anyway.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So the our goal right now, internally right now, is for the 22nd. So
that's awesome.
Next week.
There you go, chat.
Wednesday, yes.
22nd tentative. Thanksgiving Eve in the United States, if you're wondering.
Yeah.
So is it? Yeah. It's going to be the 22nd your time, correct?
U.S. Well, Well,
Or are you thinking like
just
early
to-
morning Korea on the 23rd?
yes.
Because typically you guys release the patches in the evening, like GMT on whatever date you say it's coming out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So 22nd GMT. That's
Okay.
the intended.
Tentatively 22nd,
again,
sometime on the 22nd GMT, probably in the evening, because historically they've been at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So again, I think we had to get that out there today too, is because there's going to be a full wipe. This is going to be our
Right.
like
so
the
you have
actual internally what we think of. This is the end of the very first season and the
Right.
start of the second season.
right. So we have
That's what
a
we're looking
seasonal wipe. So this patch comes with a wipe of all
Yes.
characters, right? And according to your dev notes, that was in the dev notes from the last hotfix. But when you say wipe, do you mean like character names and everything, like clean slate, or do people still get to keep their characters and everything just goes back to level 1?
Yeah, everything. So everything goes back to level 1. You lose all your items,
Okay.
all your gold,
And
all
then
your,
that includes stash
progress, but
tabs,
you
right?
keep your characters. Yes.
Okay, so
So-
stash tabs
but-
are getting
but
wiped
the
out
one
as well.
Yeah. The thing that doesn't get wiped, always you'll always keep permanently, or anything that you unlock using the blue shard stones or the red shard stones. So
Right.
anything in the in-game shop that you always keep. One of the big things, this is the first time we're doing, is that we're resetting the triumph levels.
Right, so
if you
because it's
wanna
a seasonal
if you're
shift,
getting close to the last.
right?
Exactly.
But we do get to keep the
So we-
tokens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's our way of trying to figure out like a good, middle ground between like, okay, paying for the reoccurring costs that for running a live game, at the same time it's like, oh, we want to be fair, right? It's
Right.
that, and so that's why, hey, there's ways that you can make that kind of in-game currency through progression in the game, and then we do know that it gets progressively harder, and so that's why these seasonal things, we want to make it like a big event. So hey, now you get to get the easy triumph levels in the beginning again. And you could just grind that easily. So that's that's why we denote this as, oh, this is the actual first end of season, because this is the first time we're actually testing out the reset of the triumph levels.
Yeah, Chad, I guess I should explain this. Terry has himself, admitted that he tends to be very long-winded and has told me in the past to cut him off to keep things moving.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So like if it seems like I'm cutting him off to keep things moving, it's because he wants me to do that. So I apologize if it sounds like I'm like trying to stop him talking, but he's requested of me to do that because he tends to talk a lot. All right. So just letting you all know, like I'm not trying to be a jerk. He's like made me do this. All right.
Not at all.
Okay. So for content additions, the largest thing people have been asking about are things like a quest system, new boss, stuff for high roller, etc. So first, what about a quest system? Will we be seeing something with this patch?
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
first, yes, the first implementation of the quest system will go in. I believe I sent you a mock-up.
Yep. I will share that
again-
screenshot right now. There you go. They can still hear you, but
Okay. Yeah.
it's on the screen. I know that you can't see it.
So basically, yeah, it's going to be quest system version 0.1. And this is basically, instead of having the full contents, we're just going to test out the functionality of the quest. But at the same time, it's going to be a decent amount of quests. I think we're close to around 30 or so, 20 or 30 or so quests, but
Nice.
more so than just. So in terms of the story and the lore, this is going to be our first pass at like now actually kind of building out. So we actually have a writer that's professional writer kind of helping us do this stuff, and we're going to start kind of figuring out, okay, what's the actual lore of the game. But more so here is that we just want to test out some of the core functionalities of the quest. So there's not going to be that many quest types this time. So it's going to be we're going to test out like the easiest survival style quest, fetch, the typical fetch quest, but there's going to be new functionalities that we don't want people to just go to trade post and then get all the items. So we're actually testing out stuff that you have to find actually in the dungeons and then retrieve those things. And then the last one is like the typical kill quest. We're gonna test these out to make it to incentivize it, we're gonna start also putting in different types of rewards. So like this previous hotfix was or three hotfixes ago, we put in the new extended stash, and so now you can actually unlock extended stash through quests also, not just the money, not just the gold. Like one of the other quests is that the gold chest that almost no one in the game has right now. Like we're gonna just put that as a quest item too, right? So things like this. And the other thing that we're testing out the quest is I believe it was around like 5 hotfixes ago where we had like the merchants sell a whole bunch of items. So like there was just a lot of green, blue items that even the normal merchants were selling.
Right.
And so part of that was we just wanted to get the feel of how people like being able to go in and have a lot of items to look at and purchase from the merchants, and that kind of resets every 30 minutes, right? And so part of the quest functionality we'll have this time is that we'll have some achievement-based quests. So some of them will be pretty tough, like get the Ghost King 10 times or something, right? But then these kind of quests will actually start unlocking more and more items from with each of the merchants, right? So they'll send you on.
Very cool.
So if you look at the mock-up, you see.
So there'll be kind of like a rep system. Reward.
Yeah, exactly. We call it the affinity system. So how much affinity you build up, or reputation, with each. So this will be going in with patch 2. So this is again.
This is next patch.
The next patch next week.
Patch next
week.
This
is what we're working on.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
So that's kind of the big thing for just the mainline, like easy to do progression system.
With higher affinity, you will have a wider selection of items to be able to buy off of the vendor.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
And so the reach goal I'm working on right now is also more items that you'll be able to craft also. So it'll actually unlock.
For the stash tab unlocks, will we have to are they only unlockable via questing, or can you also unlock them with gold? Is it both, or is it just the quest system?
So we haven't made a final decision on that yet, but I think we're happy with the gold unlock system right now too. So it'll just be supplemental.
Yeah, I mean, a gold sinker is never a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
So I think you'll have multiple paths to get more additional stat spaces.
Okay. Okay, so and then moving to high roller stuff. You've been working on ways to show player rankings in a way that felt more rewarding. I know that you've been working on those types of systems. Yeah. So in regard to high roller, what have you been working on there? And I know, again, we have screen caps for this. Yes. Whichever one you want to talk about first.
Yeah, so just a little quick history is when we did the initial leaderboards. So it's basically we weren't happy with the leaderboard system, right? So when we had the previous leaderboard system, it was basically that went in as a total afterthought. Like when we did the playtest that we introduced the leaderboards, it was just basically I think like literally 6 hours before we were going to do the playtest, we're like, hey, maybe we should give some other like meta goal. Okay, what can we do right before we launch the game? Okay, server side, we could show who has the most kills and stuff like that. And so it was just like a total afterthought, and it wasn't really thought out that well. And then somehow it came with us all the way into early access, and kind of the way that it was affecting people's behavior wasn't exactly what we were trying to push. And then I think we experimented a couple or several hotfixes ago where we had that leaderboard where it was just like you do the average stats, and then that was a kind of a disaster also.
That had its own issues because people would play the 20 raids and then they'd never come back again.
Yeah. And so so the thing was like now we're trying to find that kind of middle ground where you have a little bit of some incentive to grind things out, and try to see that's kind of progression. At the same time, we're trying to figure out, okay, what is a good way to indicate like the kind of behavior, or push people into the kind of behavior that we think makes, Dark and Darker, like that dungeon crawler kind of, that defines that kind of genre, right? And so so this time, again, this is experimental, but this is basically the stuff that we learned from the multiple different iterations of the leaderboards that we have, and then other games that internally we like to play. So it's not a one-to-one translation, because like some of the games that we benchmark are more like actual competitive games, and it's not, our game is like a looter, a grinding looter shooter kind of or dungeon. And so you can't make that one-to-one transition, but we try to take some of that inspiration from games. There's a little bit of overlap. So I think that we had that mock-up of
so you had like the adventure titles,
adventure tier system.
There's so I'm showing the adventure title screen right now.
Okay. Yeah. So again, this is a pure mock-up, and if you look at the bottom, so it's basically we're going to have these kind of different kind of ranks or titles that you grind up, and then the bottom is totally a mock-up right now. Is basically based on what title you achieve during this season. When the next season starts, you'll actually start off with like
with whatever the rewards are. So in chat, just so that everybody knows that what he's talking about is the rewards that show like all the gold bags and stuff at the very bottom. All of that stuff is just placeholder information.
Placeholder.
Yes. Don't look at that and think that that's what the rewards are going to be. All right, that's just there for placeholder stuff. They haven't decided how that's actually.
But one of the things that you can see is that we are thinking, where our kind of mind is going is that there is an exclusive skin. It's not going to be a demigod for sure. We just wanted to. But
can I just cosplay like as a wraith in game? That would be dope. Just float around.
I believe long time ago, maybe it was some YouTuber suggested something like that, and we're actually fans of that, and so
it would be cool.
Maybe like a year, 2 years down the line, we've really discussed this. Is that we want to allow people to actually play as like Tarkov.
Oh, like instead of being a scav, you could load in as like an NPC, like a mini boss, and like mess with people. That would be insane. That'd be so cool.
I mean, if you have bad luck, you
chat one in chat if you want to be a spiff for mommy, dude.
No. So again, these are things that we dream about here. We're still a long ways off in terms of resources and stuff, but this is what so that's the other message I wanted to get out to our players, our fans out here, is that now that we've gone through this kind of hard, arduous learning process. I know I apologize again, but you guys have been absolutely fantastic going through this with us, and it's like now we've learned a tremendous amount, and so we're in that building phase right now. That's what I wanted to tell people, is that now we have that kind of focused energy, and we're working on getting the right resources so we could start building up, and then content. So this patch 2 is going to be the first little signal of where we're kind of diverting our focus now. And because we have a little bit more freedom now in terms of energy and, less distractions, I guess, if I could be very vague. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay. And then we have the tier rank system, and then you have like the high roller results screen.
Yeah.
Which again is a mock-up, chat, and isn't final. Okay. But this is like the working idea. All right. And this is like the first iteration of it.
Yes. So this is so right now, because the leaderboard system, or that the adventure tier title system, is going to be, we're going to experiment linking it in with the high roller maps. And so this result screen you'll only get right now in the high rollers. Eventually, we want to get more in depth. We want to improve this kind of functionality. So this was a great thing working on this, is because it forced us to actually start making the structure so we could have this kind of screen that appears when you exit the dungeon, right before you come into the lobby, that kind of stuff. And so eventually we want to get those kind of, more detailed like damage report kind of screens. So this is just the first step. We needed this anyways for the adventure tier system. So this is this kind of screen will give you a guide on how to build up your adventure rank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the process of making this, this opens up opportunities for us to build out more features. And I know you personally requested like having like a damage report when you die.
Yeah,
right?
so I know
And
that we
like
talked about
better
this.
report system.
Yeah, and we talked about this. So ultimately, the idea would be is like this is kind of like the framework, and then over time it would iterate into stuff where you would see like players that you fought, and then like damage that you took, possibly even from whom. So that way you had an idea of like what you did to other people and what they did to you. And that detail screen, so that people get an idea of like what happened. Did I die to a head hit or something? Because High Roller doesn't give you any of that information. Like there's no kill feed or anything, so you kind of just left guessing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So these are things that it might not look like much if you look at it, but again, it's building that framework for it.
Chat is losing their mind because there are skills that are being shown that don't befit any single class on that screenshot.
Okay, so send us those feedback. So.
I don't know anything about it, boys. I don't know anything about it. And they also noticed that the storm in that screen cap is red.
Again, this is a mock-up. This is on.
Yeah, we're talking design mock-up stuff. Like the UI and the overlays and stuff could just literally be like artist render like placeholder images that have nothing to do with the actual game. All right, so. Yeah. It doesn't mean multi-class, guys. It doesn't mean multi-class. I know that everybody's like chomping at the bit over the multi-class mention. I keep telling people that it's like, actually, could you speak to that? Because my interpretation of it was like, this is a stretch goal thing that you want to do like way down the line, not anytime soon. But I mean, if you would please speak to that.
Okay. Well, so in terms of now, like. You know how reluctant I am to give any kind of roadmap, right?
Sure.
But the thing was, and you've seen that coming soon on the training for the last year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we were gonna have the talent tree in like September of last year or something. Like things get delayed. It just happened.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is now I've had a really deep talk with SDF, and that now we really want to get that training system. It's always been something that we really wanted to do, but the issue was, and I'm sure the last 3 months everyone knows is that the game was not balanced, right? The game, I feel like we're getting to a point that now we're a little bit more satisfied. But the thing was, we were building things so quickly. And there's a lot of complexity, right? So we're just adding stuff, and that's what we've been doing the last 3 months. Also, is that hey, just add instead of optimizing, instead of actually going through all the side effects and trying to. It's just like okay, let's just throw things in first, right? And so the issue was originally we were just like hey, we just want to focus on the fun, just add as much things. Who cares if it's imbalance, right? That was our approach. But now that the game's been ongoing for multiple months, right? Those imbalances reared their ugly head really quickly, right? And severely too. And so the thing was like, instead, that kind of was another wake-up call for us, was that okay, we wanted to make a training system, but if we don't have control over our balance and we don't know all the ramifications of all our balance yet, right? Is that we kind of realized, and this is why it was so hard for us to even start building the training system originally. It was like, dude, there's a lot of things that we feel are out of our control right now.
Right.
It's the complete opposite. So, that's why you guys went on that roller coaster with us, is that we were trying to figure out, okay, where is a baseline where we know, and I know it doesn't feel great because we had to get to that, bottom line where we're just nerfing things first, right? So previously we had all these little spikes, right? Which personally we find fun, but in terms of trying to build additional systems on top of it, is that if everything is all spiky like this, and then you build another system on top of that,
Right.
is that you're just adding additional complexity. And then we were already getting to that point where it was just past that breaking point. It's just we're just continuing breaking things. And so this is why the last month and a half, it looks like we're just going one way. We're going back and forth. Is that was our way of trying to figure out, okay, hey, what are each of these styles? What are they doing? How can we get it to a point where now we feel like, okay, I could do this, and I could, actually predict what more, where the side effects are. And we're at a point that we feel pretty confident, right? And so getting to this point was a huge journey, but getting here was critical, because if we didn't get to this point, then we wouldn't have that confidence to start working on the training.
Right.
The fact that we got here is that, that's why, like, 2 weeks ago, SEO was like, okay, now I could go all in. I want to make the training. I wanted to make multiclassing. But if everything is broken to that point that it was like a month ago, it's like multiclassing would have been a disaster,
Yeah, with it unbalanced,
yeah.
trying to do multi-classing with the game as like unbalanced and broken as it would be, and that could come with its own issues anyway, right? Because I mean, there's a million combos, like being able to take a warlock hiding and then using some ambush to hit them with BOC or something like would be just absurd. So, but yeah, so you're looking at it like the multi-class idea is going to be a while.
No, so
you're looking at it's not.
Yeah, because the issue. So, I guess part of our job as designers of our game is like we are looking at ways to kind of break our game, right? But the thing is that we have to do it in ways as it makes sense to us, and we could kind of predict it in a way. And so I'm just being open, is that previously it was breaking things in ways that it was a little bit unpredictable. Now it's gotten to a point, because going through that kind of journey, going back and forth, it's like, oh, we're actually at a point where we feel like, oh, now we can start predicting these kind of things. So then now we can start breaking the rules again. So like multi-classing to us is like, breaking the rules. But we have to actually deeply know, the rule. It's kind of funny because we're the ones that made the system. So you would, kind of assume, oh, they know everything about the system itself. But the thing is, anyone that tries to build these kind of complex systems, is that it gets to a point where, hey, if I push this button, what happens there? Is like some of these things is like, oh, okay, you get lost in your own tree, right? And so that's why we had to do some of that crimping and the snipping, and where we could get something where it's more manageable again. Where now we're at this point where we were like, okay, we feel like, I'm not saying it's perfect, you guys. I'm sure, people are still complaining about Rangers and stuff. I know we said we're not going to talk too much about balance and stuff. It's a never ending.
Don't do it, man. Don't start. They're gonna start. They're gonna start going. Chat. What you won't be able to stop them. They're just gonna start going off about how Bard's screwed up and like Barbarians overpowered and Rangers are broken. But don't do it. But let's not do it. All right, on to the player stats screen though. All right, so High Roller, you have a player stats recap. And I'm showing that right now on the player statistics side.
Okay, so player statistics side is so we're gonna this is just like we wanted to give people personal goals too. So I mean, we're already tracking a lot of this stuff anyways. It's just that we just didn't have the resources or the time to open this up on the front end side, and so we're working on this to make it. We actually have like data from previous playtests and stuff. It's not as exhaustive as this, but so eventually we're gonna be able to. You could actually, people that played in the alpha playtests and stuff, we have a lot of those data, and so you could go in and you'll be able to look at all the stuff that you accomplished from previously. And so this is just more like, hey, all the stuff you're doing in the game, in the dungeons, isn't just disappearing into the void. It's like, hey, we're actually collecting all this data, and we want to express it to you guys. You guys can actually see it yourselves.
Yeah, I think the mock-ups look really cool, man. This will be it's just good quality of life stuff.
Yeah.
Well, now will all the stats track from like the beginning of release, or will this be tracked from when it gets implemented? Is this going to be like a full account, like historically?
If you see on the mock-up itself, it says like current season, and so eventually we want to have it. Yeah, so we actually have a lot of that data from all the way from before. So, but it's just going to be categorized into each season, and then.
Yeah, I just want one that says like hours spent in game, so that I can see how much of a degen I am. Because a lot of the hardcores are going to be like, dude, we have no life, but it's okay. We're just gamers, man.
Yeah. I don't want to see my stats either. I would probably never share my personal stats either.
Okay. So from here, what about so like other additions? A lot of people have asked about like an in-game friends list, being able to put your friends' accounts in and invite them to party instead of having to search for them in the player list. Is there is that coming in this in this patch or later?
So it's being worked on right now. So
okay.
I don't think I mean I didn't send you a mock-up because it's gonna just look like that party finder with just some more things on the upper menu, like friends, block, or you know, invites and stuff like that. It's just more management stuff. Okay. And so it's a lot of stuff on the back end side. The reason this is coming in late is obviously, you know, we thought we were going to be on Steam at this point. You know, we're working on it, but and they have, you know, other platforms have their own party system. So we're just gonna being naive. We're like, oh, we're just gonna piggyback on that. But now we have to build our own platform from scratch. You know, is that?
But there will be a friends list.
We're missing a lot. And so we're working on that friends list. Again, I'm looking at the progress. It looks like it's gonna make it for the next patch. And so we're gonna push really hard for that.
Okay, so targeted for next week, chat. Friends list included, likely. All right, we're not gonna say guaranteed.
And you can block people. Yeah.
Okay.
So it just makes.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Game, right? Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. So it's a social game, and then we realized like having to go out onto Discord and making friends and stuff, and then trying to organize that is difficult, right? So yeah. So a friends list is something that was needed from the day one, and it's just we only got the resources and the time to do it now. So but. Better late than never, right?
So then the next major piece of content, I guess, would be the Cyclops boss in Goblin Cave. Now, will there be a high roller version of the Cyclops, or will it only be on normal for now?
For normal, yeah. So as you know, we're working on that, but I don't think the high roller will be completed in time. Structure ice right now is that we have one guy that's built every single monster in the game. Is all built by one guy. So he has a lot like
he's busy.
I know we're gonna tease he's busy. He's very, very busy, right? So so the thing was, we originally wanted to get the Cyclops out in the previous hotfix, but the thing is, there's a little bit more polishing work that needs to get done, but it's going to come out this update. So patch number 2, I think, and we sent you like a little
teaser. Okay, so chat, this is I got a few seconds. We got a few seconds. I'm going to hit the play button right now. Okay, here you go. And basically, I just so again, this teaser trailer was not made, but we don't have any video guy. We don't. Again, our company, we don't have it. And that's not done yet either, right? Like you notice, like here, I'll play it one more time. You can see like there's no like shadows under his feet. You know, he kind of looks like he's not really attached to the map just yet. You know what I mean? But this is like it's just a little animation to get you guys kind of hyped up on what the Cyclops is going to kind of look and function like once you get in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so this video was actually made by the guy that's doing all the monster, right? So and I was like, hey, you you're the one that made the new boss. Just give me a little snippet, and that's what he just using his screen capture tool. That's what he said.
That was good. That works, man. I want to fight him. I'm gonna die to him 100 times. It'll be great.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of players have been really vocal about being put into games with players that outgear them significantly. Guys in grays getting destroyed by people in really good gear. Personally, I feel like this patch is currently the best for itemization that it's been in a long time, and it's more balanced than it's been in a long time. But obviously, there's room for improvement. That kind of thing. We don't need to talk about balance. In a previous Q&A session, SDF mentioned that there was going to be a change to the matchmaking system that was being worked on. So you're doing something with it in this patch, I assume. Could you guys possibly give us an idea of how that's going to work mechanically?
Okay. Yeah. So our goal is that we are going to experiment with trying to utilize some type of. It's not some kind of MMR based matchmaking.
Okay.
So again, these are things that we're discussing internally, and then so the last you saw that cryptic message by SDF. I think it was 2 days ago.
Yeah, he said that they were working on the matchmaking system.
Okay.
But obviously there was nothing elaborated on, and that was the question everybody wanted to know. Is it going to be like certain rankings? Is it going to be more about their gearing, or how is it going to work?
Yes. So again, we're experimenting. And so there was that cryptic message around 2 days ago. Is that we've actually been experimenting. It's no surprise to our players now. Is that we actually put one of our systems in, and that's what we're collecting that data, right? So I think some people might have kind of felt that. It's like, wait, what's going on here? Is like I got into a room and there's only 2 other people in this room. So that's the thing, is the reason we're collecting this data is because those are the stuff that we don't want happening, is where you're in these solo rooms and stuff, and then we're collecting that kind of data, how to fine tune this kind of stuff. And so yeah. So it's probably not a surprise, but we're not satisfied with the way that I know there's, again, we don't want to I gotta be a little careful, because people can misinterpret the way that the thing is, we understand our game is about grinding, finding, looting, getting gear, right, and getting more powerful, and we don't want to destroy that kind of romance, right? At the same time, is that there's at least for the very new players that are coming in, is that there's a lot of circumstantial reasons why. The fact that we're not on a mainstream platform is that we don't have the high flow of new people coming in, and so for us is that we have to be a little, we have to be a lot more careful about the newer player experience, right? And so for those people that are coming in that are not as geared yet, is that we just want to give them a little bit of an on-ramp. And that's kind of what we're working on with this system right now. And we're experimenting. And hopefully, so for this week, we're going to be collecting a lot of that data. And then we'll have we feel like we should have a much better gauge on how to, tweak those little tiles with that kind of system. So, I mean, the thing is, if this is a failure, it's very easy. We just say, hey, how many buckets and how it's filtered for the matchmaking. We just say, okay, we turn that dial down to 0, and we say 1 bucket for everyone, and it just goes back to what it was last week. But the thing is, now we have these kind of improved tools, so we could say, hey, okay, these are the things that we feel are, makes a difference in the player experience, and this is the way that we want to see people kind of ramp up, and then slowly ease into a place where, it's still, we want it to be challenging. That's the whole point of the game, is it's a difficult, challenging game. But at the same time, it's like, hey, your very first experience in the dungeon is that you're not being run down by multiple groups of players in like purple, people that have like you said, thousands of hours in the game, and this is your first 5 minutes of the game. Yeah. So these are the things that we're experimenting with.
So there's already some light form of matchmaking going on in the game right now as it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's been
people assumed, but they didn't know. So for everybody that's losing their mind over this news, congratulations, it's already been happening. And while some of you thought that it was already happening, most people, I don't think, realized it. So maybe it's not going to be as bad as most people believe. Maybe. But if it sucks, well, you guys are just going to change it. So
yes,
like you've done with literally everything else that we've hated, like within days. So
yeah. So again, for us is if we mess up on something, we just the end result, we go back to status quo, right? So
right.
And it's that's the way we built the system. It's very easy for us. If we mess up on this, we just say, okay, there's like 2 or 3 parameters, and we just set it back to these parameters, to these values, and then it functions exactly as if it wasn't there, But the thing is, our hope is that, this will improve the new player experience, the onboard ramping, and so, and hopefully that just leads to an overall healthier, better base for the game. And the thing is, right now, again, we're tweaking these values, pretty frequently right now. And so I think the good version, the version that we're going to be happy with, is probably going to be with patch 2. So if you have new players, friends that you're kind of worried about, like they're going to come, you don't want to recommend the game because everyone knows, a new player coming in, it's going to be rough for them right now.
Right.
But it's like, hey, just next week, that's probably going to be a much better time for inviting these people that might be sitting on the fence. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So recently you guys added fixed portals in the game, right? We had those static portals that got added to the 3-player map. And it seems there's a lot of people now that it's been a little while, a lot more people have become accustomed to like where they show up and the timing of them. There's a lot more people using them, especially to go down to Inferno. A lot of people are like hanging out like in the storm, waiting for it to open. I know that we've done that, trying to avoid a certain amount of PvP to get into like the higher loot areas. How do you think that those things are working? Are you planning on changing them? If so, how are you looking at that?
Oh yeah. So again, that was an experimental thing. So I know, and maybe giving away too much is like, we are actively looking to try out, experiment with different kind of mechanics also. Not just the circle. I know, circle is a very contentious issue in the game right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want the circle to be gone. There's a lot of people that think that the circle should stay because it's been there since the start. That's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. And so, but at the same time is that, there's a kind of legacy expectation for the game. And so I think one of the things, at least for right now, internally, is that we're not, the circle for like the Howling Crypts and Inferno, I think we're going to keep that for right now. But at the same time, we wanted to experiment and try to expand on ways to have more strategies, right? Than just following the circle and then going in. And so that was where the inspiration for these kind of fixed portals. Mm-hmm. And so, and honestly, the fixed portals, that was built in 3 days. The one that went in the game, right? So
they work great. We love them. Like when we play, just because it gives us that like you're not being forced to have to go into like those smaller and smaller areas to find an exit. You can deal with the environmental issues.
Exactly. So I think it just kind of opened up in terms of player choice, and so that's something that we saw as a big win for us. And so. We invested minimum time to get that into the game, to experiment with it. The results came back. We like the what we're seeing with the player engagement, the player behavior with that. And so now it's like, okay, I think we're gonna make this like an actual part of the current game. And so for us is now let's start actually tweaking the values and balancing it out and polishing it up. You know, if you look at it, it was like we went to the art team. It was like, hey, we have this idea. How quickly can you build it up? You know, and they did an outstanding job in that limited amount of time. But then now it's like, hey, you have a lot more time. You know, 2 weeks. It's like show us what you can really do. And so stuff like that, it's going to look a lot better. It's going to be a lot more polished. We're collecting the data on, you know, the timings and stuff. And, you know, right now there's a little bit too much randomness to the timings of when it opens or how many, you know. I think we did a pretty decent job on the amount. Like if you saw our internal test map, we actually at one point we had like 8 or 9
Oh, really?
fixed portals on each. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, no, I mean, like the portals,
the
portal counts, like where they're located, that kind of stuff. You know, like running across them, seeing where they're at. Like it feels good. I mean, at least to me and a lot of people that I play with, like they make sense.
And so,
I don't know if there's anybody that's really been vocally against them. I think they pretty much have been just widely accepted, actually.
So I think this is like one of the rare wins for us where I agree with you. You know, where it's like we haven't had
rare Ironmace W.
Yes. So, and so we're gonna take it, right? We're gonna take it, and we're gonna make it so it feels like it should have been. So it feels and looks like it's been there since the very beginning. You know, so that those are the kind of stuff that we're doing, right?
Yeah. Okay. For character customization, are there any additional changes for this patch being made to like stats or gear or armor? I think you had mentioned something about some new stat points coming in, or like stat types. If you want to elaborate on those.
So one of the really big changes that's coming in is that so again, the current 5 attributes, the main attributes, they're not completely built out yet, right? So like resourcefulness is just it's not doing what
that's a garbage stat.
So it's kind of a dead stat. Yeah, it's a garbage stat right now.
Unless you're a bard, kind of.
Yeah, and that's we kind of somehow, you know, push that in, right? But so we have plans for that. So we have a thing called the dynamic bag system that we're working on, and the original, if you see our some of our design documents from, you know, a year ago, it's like we had plans for this. It's just in terms of the architecture, and because, you know, our process of just build fast is that the ground was too shaky, right? And so that's why we, like, it seems like it's going to be one of the easiest things to put in, but in terms of the actual building out the system and building out the program, like making sure the programming is this, because if we mess this up, like the repercussions are just huge, you know, duping, all this kind of stuff. So this is why we're very careful about building up the resourcefulness. But again, we had to go through all those kind of, you know, I guess, back and forth and stuff. Where now we're confident again, so we're gonna work on that. But the other big issue right now is that 2 of the stats are a little bit, they're kind of like odd stats, right? And obviously that's strength and agility, right?
Right.
So they're far and beyond, you know, too valuable compared to the rest of the stats, right? This patch, what's going to happen to kind of align all the power level of the stats is that those 2, so someone's like throwing a worst constitution. We're going to call it vigor. So there's going to be a new stat called vigor, which is basically so strength is kind of getting split up, right, into 2. So it's going to be strength and vigor, and they'll still have an impact on each other a little bit. So strength is going to be the main one that's giving the physical power, and you'll have a small amount, like 25% impact to the overall max health. And then you'll have the vigor stat, which will do the remaining 75% of the max health. And then the one thing we're working on right now is, I don't know if we'll get this succeed in time, because it's a little bit complicated. It's going to create refactoring of the rest system. Is that if your vigor goes up, is that your sitting down time should also improve, right? So we want to,
okay,
you don't need to rest. Yeah.
So HP regain with
so that's-
higher vigor is faster when you sit
So
down to
again,
rest.
we're working on that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other god stat right now is agility, of course, right? And so
Right.
because
it's attack speed and run
move
speed.
is
Yeah.
run speed, equip speed, action speed, interaction speed, all this, right?
Right.
And so the thing is, agility is now going to be split into this thing called agility and dexterity. Okay, so agility is going to be, it's going to be similar. Is that agility? The main thing that agility is going to affect is going to be move speed, and then like, move speed itself is just so powerful in the game. So like, even if we just did that 1-to-1, it's going to be just powerful in itself. But I believe it's man, this is how forgetful I am, because I worked on this last week and I've already forgot. But
so agility and dexterity are being split, and strength and vigor strength and is like the strength and vigor being split, vigor being health, and then agility is move speed, or is dexterity move speed?
Yeah, so agility is going to be move speed, and then dexterity is going to be action speed. So
Okay.
Your attack speed, and the regular interaction speed is going to be, instead of being based 40% agility, 60% resourcefulness, the interaction speed will now be dexterity resourcefulness.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this is it's gonna be a whole different game next week. Just on those stat changes alone, it will be completely different.
Yeah.
Like itemization on gear just gets completely shifted. That's cool, man. So this is going to affect.
So
this will heavily affect barbarian damage output if they're trying to be like a more spongy tank, because they'd have to weigh their vigor increases against their strength increases.
Exactly. Yeah. And it will affect pretty much every single class too. Like one of the things that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to clear up something. Is that everyone thinks that people at Ironmace, especially dev team, like we all main rangers. That could be farther from the truth. Okay, I think out of our dev team, there's like 2 people that play rangers. Okay, this is probably going to shock a lot of people. We mostly the most popular classes, at least on the design team, is the rogue and the wizard. Okay, and the warlock. Okay, so.
Oh boy, that's funny.
And people are thinking, oh, why are you guys always nerfing? The reason why is we play and we always think, man, do we overtune these guys? So one of the things that internally, like, we saw was just way too strong, was that if you strength, if you build a strength-based rogue, it was just like we have this thing internally where we just do these one versus one. I mean, it is very artificial, and that's strength-based rogue with some of a few plus weapon damage just destroys every class. It was just like no contest, and we're just like, okay, we've done a lot of stuff now where we mitigated that, right? But it's still we feel like it is still a little bit too powerful. But and one of the reasons why is like we were building these rogues that had more HP than the fighter. Their DPS was just off the charts, and they're still doing insane damage because they're building up strength and they're getting all that additional physical power. And so these are things that, so the barbarian was a big consideration of splitting up that stat. But for us internally, as rogue players too, it's like, oh man, this is a super rogue here. We gotta somehow address this. And so this is one of the ways that we're addressing it. And yeah, so we're dirty rogue mains here,
Yeah, Terry's a rogue main, chat. Yeah. So there you go, chat. The reason why Ranger hasn't been nerfed yet is just because they barely play them. the more they play, so here's how it goes. Because Terry told me about this. The more that they play a class, the more OP they feel it is, and that's why those classes are getting nerfed more often than others. That's literally why. Because they play them and they think the class is too strong. So if you're a ranger, you're safe because they haven't been playing you that much. That's why.
I'll be honest. Personally, we kind of find the ranger a little boring. So I think that kind of, maybe we have to do a better job of making it more interesting. But
Torch, dude. Absolutely torch. Damn. Ranger seething. Oh boy. All right. Onto like hell stuff. Inferno stuff. So this is actually a question that came from somebody in the community. And I thought it was a good question to ask. Neither Ruins nor Goblin Cave have an option to take a red portal down to Inferno. Could that even just on the duo map be added as a test? And it doesn't have to be its own map. Maybe just allow the duos to go to Inferno, because like if you're me or you're So Bad or you're Jay or N Boss or any of the guys or Ken or any of the guys Saramore, you can go. We go there all the time solo from the trio map and just farm it ourselves because we've learned it. You know, as a duo, like warlocks, if they have even a few points of healing, can solo lich. A duo can pretty much do the map. So the question was if there would be a way to include that, even if it was just for Ruins for like temporarily to test, or if this is something that you guys have been like toying around with and figure it's just too OP to do.
So it's not, we don't feel that's too OP. So these are things that we kind of, thrown around internally also, is that, having down portals for different types of maps. The thing is, the specific, method that you're talking about, like putting an Inferno under Ruins, that one was talked about, but it wasn't talked about that seriously. We said, okay, the one that we've been talking more seriously is that, hey, you remember the original people, people that go way back. Originally, we were talking about, hey, let's do the multi-layered.
Like the server consolidation stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that stuff has, again, always been being worked on in the background, right? And so it's still being worked on. And we actually, in tandem, we were kind of weighing, okay, we're going to do the advanced rank, the Avenger tier system, or we're going to try doing the multi-tier high rollers. So we wanted to do something to make high rollers have a more separate identity from just the normal matchmaking, right? And so now obviously the result that we went with is going to be with the Avenger tier ranking. It's like, okay, it's a different kind of progression game, and you get those rewards for doing the high rollers right now. But one of the other things that we kind of explored was, hey, making high rollers this full experience from start to beginning to end, is you're going down deeper and deeper and deeper, right, into so we're going to start with that, the triple layer original idea of the 3-layer dungeon. And we actually built that out. We just haven't had enough time testing it.
Gotcha.
So we might,
Okay.
And so stuff like that. So it would have been like, I mean, it is the Ruins at the top, and then you go down into what is it? The crypts, and then you go down to the Infernos. Yeah.
Right.
And so and I know we did test one iteration of that long time ago, and briefly in one of the playtest 5, just like for like a 2 days, and we're like, oh wait, okay, there's too many things that didn't work out. Right. We feel like, okay, we've learned a lot since that playtest, and we feel like we have a better management, and especially if we could get that the other system, the dynamic, we call it the floor matchmaking. The dynamic floor matchmaking is where you go down, and that could be the missing piece of the puzzle. But even without that, we want to kind of experiment. Now we have the downport, the fixed portals, right? Have much more experience with that, and so I think this is something. If you give us a little bit more time, it's not going to be ready. Again, we didn't want to put it in with patch 2 because we're putting in a large system anyways with high rollers, and it's just going to add too many variables. Like it's too many new things all at once. So, but I think you might see it as like an experimental mode. Or the other thing we're working on internally is that the test server. I know we promised that in the
a lot of people have asked about like the test server and like what that was supposed to be or how that was going to work.
we are working on that now. So
Okay.
the problem is we couldn't do that previously because, again, we built the platform up from scratch in 2 months, right? And so we had to build out all basic functionality. Even right now, we're working on basic functionality. So people always complain about, hey, how come you guys do all your news releases through Discord and not you guys have your own launcher and the web page and stuff? Is that we had if we wanted to do that, we had to hard code everything. So it wasn't because to get it out in time we had to just build just that functionality. Now we're actually going back and making things flexible and stuff, right? So stuff like that is platform wise is now we have a little bit more time and freedom. So we still have the limited resources, but now we could go to our engineers and say, hey, okay, we have a little bit more breathing room. These are the things that we feel are important. So like test server is something that we feel is important. We just didn't have the resources at that time to do it because we're just, it was chaos for a while, right? But now things are kind of settling down. The foundation's there, and it's like we're fixing these things one by one. So even probably this week, next week is that we'll probably start actually updating the news on the blacksmith in real time because we just got that functionality, stuff like this. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that just we needed that we didn't have the time to do that we are now getting that time and resource to do. So you'll start seeing these things slowly. It's not like groundbreaking stuff, but it's just essential stuff that should have been there from the beginning.
Yeah, well,
so the test
better late than never, right? So you're getting to it, and that's the important thing. Okay, so more or less most everything that we've talked about so far is stuff that's going to be included in the next patch. I think that we've covered everything. I know that you're planning on having new weapons and some new armor and some new crafts in the next patch as well. I don't know if you feel like elaborating on that at all, or we can just like see them when it happens. It's completely up to you if you want to share anything.
So instead of that, because I don't, that stuff people will figure out anyways. People are going to data mine anyways. We realize that's the reality we live in now. It's going to be on the wiki anyways. So stuff like rather than that, maybe just a little bit like explaining expectation wise, what's not going to be in this patch. So.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
so
that might be a little bit easier.
Everyone is asking like if the Warlock is going to be done, if the Druid's going to be in this patch. If you want to talk about that.
Yes. So exactly. Yeah, that's the Druid, right? So again, our intention was we wanted to get the Druid, the experimental version of the Druid in patch 2, right? The thing is, we started doing the research and development on it, and it's a little bit bigger test than we expected. So I'll give you a concrete example is that he's going to be able to change into different animal forms, right?
Okay, so it's going to be full animal forms, not like Udyr from League of Legends, like invoking spirits and like kind of sort of looking like a bear, but a man bear kind of thing. It's going to be a full on animal.
You will be a bear.
You will be an actual fucking bear. All right, there you go, chat. There you go, full on shapeshift.
Yeah. But the thing is, so one of the things that we've been struggling with or trying to tackle in the game is that so one of core design pillar for us, at least for the PC version, and so the other thing I want to make clear is that the mobile version is that's actually done by a totally different studio, right? So I
think that's an important distinction. Yeah, the studio that's making the mobile version of Dark and Darker was contracted. I assume that you guys have edited, right? You have editorial control, obviously.
Yes, but it's very minimal, And the thing is, hey, again, we're not mobile developers, and so I don't think if we go in there, it's just going to cause more chaos, right? So, but the thing that's good for us is that it allows us to just focus on our PC version, right?
Right.
That's what we think. That's what we want to focus on, and that's what we think is our strength. We're not. If we go and make a mobile game, it's going to be a disaster. Okay, that's we're just going to be very honest there. But for the PC version, for us, is that we feel like in terms of the immersion that we wanted, the kind of experience we want to give is like being in a first-person view is very important. And now, like, there's not too many first-person bear games, you know?
Yeah,
where
you got to be a
bear,
first-person
right?
bear, dude.
And so these are the challenges that we're coming up against right now. It's like, okay, how do you be a bear in first-person view? Like, how do you do attacks? How does it feel like it doesn't feel weird and stuff? And so and we started working on this, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be a lot more challenging than we initially expected. And so because of these kind of issues right now is unfortunately Druid, even the experimental version is not looking likely for next week.
Okay.
I
So
gotta say,
unfortunately,
it's gonna
Druid's
get
not
pushed
ready
back.
because they're trying to make it so that you guys don't get motion sick whenever you morph into a bear. All right.
Yeah. So I mean, the easiest way is we could just do third person, right? Like, but I feel like that kind of is not something that even when you do, like, you know, the what is it, Death Skull, is that this is something,
Yeah.
you know, we're like, oh, okay. And we had a lot of back and forth with.
I like the Death Skull. You can chain lightning off of that thing. It's fun.
So, but there was a lot of discussion about that. Third person, first person, these kind of things is, you know, and we're not saying we're closing off one way or the other, but there is one that we prefer, and we're gonna keep on trying to work on the solution that we prefer, unless it's totally untenable, right? And so this is the challenge with the Druid, and that's why, you know, I'm just being open. Is that hey, it was a lot tougher than we expected, and we don't have a full solution yet, and that's why the Druid is not going to be ready in time. And I think the other thing is that we talked about was that we kind of teased that new ice world.
Yeah, so the new map is something that's coming.
The new map.
I had a question about the new map. So that was teased a while ago, and it kind of looked like Blight Town from Dark Souls, but it's not Blight Town. It's an ice map, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's
so
an ice map.
What's the theme of it? You didn't include that in the notes, so maybe you want to talk about making it into patch 2 or not.
Yeah, so originally it was supposed to come in patch 2, and then we realized, okay, hey, we're just it's not going to be ready, right? So the thing was, if it came out in patch 2, so we have you know, the enough level modules and stuff that we've kind of built out, but the thing is, then it would just feel like a reskinned, you know, Howling Crypts or one of the maps right now. Right. So the thing that's going to actually make this map, this concept feel new is that there needs to be at least a minimum amount of new encounters. Right. And the thing is, like I alluded before, is we have one guy that's just, you know, he's a super masterpiece, you know, expert in making these monsters, but it's one guy, right? And so the thing is, like,
the one monster guy.
We don't want him to. Yeah, we don't want him to, you know, keel over from exhaustion. So the thing was like, hey, hey, yeah, it's in the interest of, you know, everyone's health. It's like, hey, let's kind of push this back a little bit, and then so.
You got Baba Yaga sitting at the desk at your office, and he's the guy. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So he's the guy. He literally, yeah, he's the guy. So if you guys have fun with any of the monsters, the bosses, sub bosses, you know, it's all from that. You know, he's the guy. But the thing is, like, hey, you know, make all these new creatures. You know, things that make sense with the like the ice world, right?
Right.
It's gonna be like,
so there will be new enemies.
You know, there's gonna be you know, frost giants, that kind of stuff. You know, there's gonna be. Our goal eventually is there's going to be a dragon, right? Ice dragon. That's going to be the super boss, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Ice dragon on the map confirmed.
Like yeah.
Okay.
Again,
will there be?
Take a while, right?
What's the group size? What's the group size intention for it?
So we haven't set that in stone yet, right? So internally we're thinking we want it to be the 3-man, but again, We don't know, right? And so this is like, as we started working on the ice world, and we realized, hey, we need a little bit more time for this to bake. Is that the other stuff is that, hey, we don't need to, because it is going to be something new. We don't need to keep all the same conventions. So even one of the other things that we're talking about is that, hey, this might be the first map where we're not going to have a circle. So those are the things that we're thinking about with the new content. But now you know that some of the challenges that we're facing with the ice world right now, and so it's not going to come in next week, but our goal is, hey, we want to get this out for at least, I mean, it makes sense if we could get it out for Christmas. That's going to be a really, really hard push. But
Okay.
Realistically speaking, I think it'll probably be more down in January, but we're going to try our, darnest to get it out. And let's get like that ice vibe, right? That winter wonderland, right? So.
Yeah. So so you're talking ice map, frost, like an ice dragon with like ice and frost thematic enemies. So like you just said, frost giants. So I assume there's going to be like other like ice related monsters or whatever that are going to be out there. But you're not
again, the first iteration will probably, so if we push really hard for the December release, there's probably going to be some of those pieces missing, and this is it's going to be more like a teaser, right? And then we'll start adding those in, like the Cyclops is coming in. We had the original Goblin Caves that started back in February, but now the Cyclops is coming in now, so hopefully it's not going to take that long. We're improving our processes and stuff, and we're learning our limitations, and we're scheduling it a little bit better. But yeah,
and you're looking at experimenting with more on the static spawn side of things, as opposed to having a BR circle at all on that map. So no, like tentatively, no BR circle would be the test.
Yeah.
Very
that's
cool.
Gonna be so that's something we're thinking about. Because the way we look at it, again, I alluded to this previously, is that we'll try these things out, and if it doesn't work, we always have the status quo, right? We could just go back to, hey, it didn't work out the way that we wanted. Okay, there's a circle, BR circle on ice roll. That's the worst case scenario, right? So, but if we could figure out something that adds to the experience, like I think we did with the fixed portals this time. It was like, hey, then we could start kind of expanding the experience for the game. Yeah.
I think if there was ever a time to test this kind of stuff, it would be now. So I mean, just kind of throw it out there and see if it sticks, right? And then group size, you're thinking 4-man teams?
No.
Right
now,
four-man teams, chat. All right. Now we'll have to we'll stick to threes. We'll stick to threes is fine, I guess. All right.
Well,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so everyone, let's see. There's been a lot of talk about the talent tree system. Originally, you weren't sure if you were going to even add one, because I remember like the first couple of chats we had, you were like, well, everybody kind of has access to everything, and they're making up all these cool builds, and it seems like it's really cool and fun. But now you know that for sure you're obviously building the training system or the talent tree system. How is that coming? Will we see it in this patch? Will we see it in a future patch? Targeted for when, do you think? Where are you guys with that now?
Oh yeah, so I gave you that background. We wanted to do it. It was a high priority always from the instant that we want a training system, and that's why we put coming soon. We were very naive, and we thought, hey, we could work on, and then, but we didn't have the balance in a place that we were comfortable with knowing how to properly balance our game at that time. Right now, we're a lot more confident, and so because we have this confidence, I think we could at least start working on that training system. So again, it's always a high priority, but now we actually feel like we have the ability to start working on this. I've had that talk with SDF, and his internal goal is he wants it in the December patch. I'm much more realistic. I think it's going to be probably the next one after that. But again, how determined SDF is, right? When he sets his mind.
Yeah, he's a very directed guy. He would rather not sleep just to get something done. So, yeah.
So, and it's my job to consider his health and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see.
Listen, he's too busy just knocking out W after W to bother like resting. So, it's just something he's got to do. I get it. Okay. Big thing that chat has been constantly spamming about since the very start of the stream is trading. So trading is slow and tedious, right? Especially if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of free time to play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pretty awful trade experiences, and people are finding themselves constantly sitting, hunting for gear in trade chat, or they wait for a buddy in their party to find a chess piece or a weapon or whatever in order to be able to go in with them. Even then, if they're able to get a usable item on a trade vendor, they have to wait like another 30 minutes for a refresh, and it tends to slow down someone's ability to get back into the game because they're looking for something specific. So many people have repeatedly suggested and seem to have started to sway SDF a little bit on the idea of an auction house. So I want to formally now ask you, will we see an auction house in this game, and if so, when?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. We'll see it, and we'll probably see it very soon. It's going to be, it's probably at the same tier of priority as the training. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. Is the reason we were so against the auction house is, first of all, is because in terms of the auction house, before that, I'll clarify what we mean with that auction house. It's actually the implementation we're thinking internally is not like a typical auction house where you bid for prices. It's more like a
buy it now thing.
It's buy. Yeah, you set a price and you put it up, and so we want to remove some of that friction. So the reason
flea
we didn't
market.
go with that, flea market, exactly. Yeah. So
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Thing that we're. Oh no. Again, I ramble, right? So
yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
So the original little bit of the history is why we didn't go with auction house originally is because, so the main inspiration for the current trade post system is just the Diablo 2, trade chat, right? And we just we have a lot of nostalgia from playing a lot of Diablo 2, or people playing Diablo 2 and just sitting in the chat. And so one of the things that our takeaway from there was like, there's a lot of value that people get attached to items and stuff because they had to invest a lot of their time, right? And so we wanted to kind of leverage that. But the issue right now, so there's some core philosophies that are kind of clashing with that kind of system, and the system that's implemented and where Dark and Darker is going is that, first of all, because Dark and Darker, you lose all your loot when you die, right? Is that you invest a lot of time to get these loot or equipment, but you could lose it in an instant, right?
Right.
And the thing is, so that trade-off, the value between how much time invested and the value of your gear, and then the ease at which that gear could disappear, that's not balanced correctly, right? So the thing is, like, it was intentional for us to try to raise the value of the equipment by making it a little bit, you have to invest your time. What we realized, and so there's another factor that comes into play is there's the random modifiers, right? So the thing is, the random modifier system was actually not part of the original design of the game, but again, we take a lot of inspiration from Diablo 2, and we're like, hey, let's try this out, right? And to us, we felt a lot of the pros of that kind of system. At the same time, there's a lot of negative effects too, in terms of trying to balance that out. You've seen how crazy that range we've gone from up and down.
Yeah, it was all over the place for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The second issue with having these kind of random modifiers is that it adds a lot of RNG factor into the items themselves, right? So what that has is it increases the amount of time invested, not just the fact that you're sitting in this chat channel but to find that not even the perfect item, but the right item for you, right?
Right.
And there's another part of this piece of this issue too, is the amount of loot that actually comes out and can be put into the trade system. But the thing is, having these random modifier, it kind of obscures the value of the items as it's coming out of the dungeon. So you have to be highly in tune with the market. You have to be highly in tune with the different classes, and where you're in the dungeons, item comes out, you have to be able to, so you have to have a high level of knowledge just to even assess the correct value of an item within the dungeon. And we see that, not everyone, I mean, that's a high barrier, right? So there's a lot of items that just get left in the dungeon that never get put on trade, right? Because the thing is, you have limited stash space also. And so people are trying to maximize the efficiency, and they don't know, if they don't have that knowledge, it's basically worthless to them. And so the thing is, then now you see a starving effect on the trade market, the trade post itself. And so it's kind of like this negative feedback loop. And so the thing is, the conclusion in the end is that, okay, the trade post system in its current iteration is actually adding too much friction, right? And so originally our intention was we wanted to purposely add in friction to add value. But now with the other complex systems that have kind of working against each other, the random modifiers, things like this, is that the investment cost is just too high, right? And losing gear permanently, stuff like this, is that, okay, that made us come to the realization is like, we have to figure out a way, to balance this out, or we have to figure out a way to reduce the friction, reduce that kind of time investment. And so the easiest way is, what all the other kind of MMOs are doing is that, having those kind of auction house flea market systems. Yeah. We were against that originally because we thought we were anti low friction. But the thing is, actually, low friction transactions are something that actually fits our game in its current state much better. And so this is why we kind of did a reversal on, okay, yeah, now it is time for, if we're gonna, keep the random modifiers, if we're gonna have these kind of high risk, we don't have, there's other ways to approach this, maybe making like an insurance system, giving better indicators of how valuable loot is and stuff. But again, these are just, it takes a lot more effort, I think. So right now we're gonna experiment with, hey, the easiest way is a proven way that a lot of other games are using is that kind of auction system, auction house flea market. And so this is a thing that we'll build it in, we'll try it and see if that kind of reduces some of that stress of, when you lose and you have to re-gear up, or when you're trying to find the not even the perfect item, like I said, it's just the item that you need, right?
Right.
Is that?
Yeah, I think
so
for that
multiple approaches, and this is the easiest way for us right now.
Yeah. And I think the best way for that to function is just going to make sure that the filters work. So that way people can search for like a specific stat or something once it's implemented, then you'll probably be all set.
Yeah, and so those are things that we have to work on anyways. Anything quality of life stuff is we're going to work on anyway. So those are, as a designer, so one other point I want is that not everything that's inconvenient is there. So majority of stuff that's like, like causes friction and stuff, a lot of the stuff we want to actually get rid of, right? That those are real quality of life improvements. But there are some things that we, as designers, we intentionally put in to create friction for other reasons, right? So,
right. Will you still be able to do direct trades with people outside of Raid, or no?
Oh yeah. We're gonna. So the thing is, okay. The thing is, we're gonna keep both systems for a while.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool.
The thing is, yeah. So there's high friction. We'll see. It's a competition, right? So whatever one wins out, we'll see. Yeah. So.
Okay.
But again, we're gonna make it so like filters and stuff like that. Those are quality to us. We look at it as actual quality of life improvements, and those we're gonna work on all the time. And we now that we have that little bit of breathing room, those are stuff that we could start. Those are kind of the low hanging fruits that we could start working on, and just hopefully just let us know. Keep on giving us that feedback, and those are the things that we could put in one by one each hotfix and stuff.
Okay. All right. Next thing. There's been a lot of requests from people for some type of like practice area, training ground, battle arena kind of thing to be able to work on like min-maxing stats, test damage, fight each other. Is that something that we could see? If so, when?
Okay. I'm getting sorry. I'm getting the site.
That's okay. That's
Oh,
okay.
SDF just came by and said hi. Right
Hi,
now.
SDF.
Oh, you say hi. Yeah. So
Chad.
yeah, basically, so this is now again not a hard roadmap, but after. So we've talked all the stuff that we have on our plates for the kind of the near future, and then our kind of the big goals afterwards are basically two big things that the design team has been focusing on is, so it's basically the kind of the my room, the chamber. We call it my chamber because in the lore is we're all adventurers that are at this tavern, right?
Right.
Or at the base camp, and you're renting out this room. So your stash is actually parts of that room at the inn, right? And so now we want to actually start making it like you could start customizing your room and stuff, right?
Okay. So you're gonna have room customization. You're gonna have like your own little hideout kind of thing, but it's gonna be like a tavern room.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And so you could get different kind of trophies and stuff, and then eventually our goal there is that so I mean we're going to take inspiration from multiple games that have that kind of similar functionality, so like Path to Exile, Tarkov.
Yeah, is there a plan to have like crafting systems and whatnot? Like, because one of the critiques that people have, is that like, how can I put this? When people don't have a lot of hours to play, like they're like more casual for time. A lot of times when they're getting like absolutely smacked in the dungeon, they don't feel like they got anywhere. So they're like these, there's like these passive progression systems that usually end up like in these hideouts or like your room or whatever, to help you feel as though like you've made some progress, even though you're like getting beat. So is that something that you are planning on implementing in like your like little hideout, your tavern room, like that kind of stuff too?
So there's been discussion with that, but again, this is so preliminary early in the talks. Like, I mean, I take everything here I'm saying with a grain of salt, right? So that's the thing. It's like but yeah, we've had those kind of talks. Like, we brought up, a goose that lays golden egg, stuff like that. So, but is it actually going to make it to the actual implementation? We don't know, right? So again, now, this is just like brainstorming, things that we're throwing out. So the other thing, this is just like pie in the sky kind of talk right now. And the other pie in the sky, thoughts that we're having is like an arena system. And so, because.
So like a fighting arena.
Again, we don't, a fighting arena, maybe like we don't know. Again, there's a lot of ways that it could go, one of the things that we kind of thought of, maybe like the WoW arena, but we don't know. So again, this is a little bit farther down the path.
Okay.
And so I'm just throwing it out there.
And this is stuff for like months from now. Like this isn't anything that's going to be like before the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So there's stretch goal kind of stuff, Chad.
Exactly. Yes.
Jay Griffey would like to know if there will be a female elf poster that we can hang on the wall of our tavern room.
Okay. I'll put that up.
I got you, Jay. I got you, bro.
Pass list.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's see. That actually might be all of the questions that I had. That might be everything.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we covered it all, boys. Is there anything I know? Well, there's questions about like new spells. I know that people want to know about dwarves and that kind of stuff. Is there? Well, I guess I can ask this. With the lizard skin, how do you guys feel like that is going right now?
I think experimental wise, it's going better than expected. So so it kind of gives us a little bit more confidence in, okay, so the likelihood of like a dwarf skin has gone up tremendously since due to the reception of the lizardman skin. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Reddit at all, but it's like 70% of Reddit right now is just like which color of lizard is superior to the others,
no.
and the memes are fantastic. Like there was one I saw that's like
Okay,
it was like a green lizard wearing a red lizard skin as a jacket and holding a blue lizard tail over his shoulder. It was so good.
That's what I'll my to-do during lunchtime is check out those memes and
Absolutely. Plans for like a training dummy outside of match. I'm assuming that would maybe be in like the hideout room or something as you built it, something like that.
Yeah, that was the preliminary thoughts right now. So different kind of trophies and stuff that you could, and not all of them would just be for show, but maybe some more functional stuff too. So, but again, it's a little premature to talk about that because those are things that are kind of months out instead of stuff that we're going to be working on immediately.
Yeah, there's a lot of people also asking about quivers for rangers, but rangers don't need any help and they can all burn in hell.
Well, the quiver system is.
Oh, did we lose him? Terry, you there? I think I lost you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you cut out. You said the quiver system,
okay.
and that's where I lost you.
Okay. Yeah, so the quiver system is directly tied in with that dynamic backpack system that we're talking about, which is tied in with the resourcefulness. That's the reason why Rangers have the highest resourcefulness, is because the original plan was like, hey, they're gonna carry all these arrows and they need the quiver, and there's gonna be these kind of restrictions and limitations, and they need to have that resourcefulness is an important attribute for making that work. So it's in the works, but again, that requires a lot more refactoring of the base internal systems, and so we're working on that. Yeah, it just has to, this one we have to make sure everything is just picture perfect, because if we mess up here, it's like dupe city again, right? So.
Okay. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Chad, any like final questions? If you got anything pretty good to ask, go for it. We're not talking, Chad, again, like no questions about balance, functionality, mechanics. Okay. We're talking about content.
I saw people asking about the soul. So I talked about that the 3-tier dungeon. You remember the 3-floor dungeon? So the plan, the experimental plan, is that eventually when we do that, is that that would actually, there'll be a solo version, a duo version, and a 3-man version for that. That was the original plan for
sick.
The high roller.
All right.
So solos could play on the rooms map and the crypt against all other solos. That was, again, this is something that we kind of went the other direction right now with the tier, but it's just on the back burner right now. And it gives us a little bit more time to cook that, and then it'll come out on the, our plan is, if we get the test server running in time, is we'll put it on the test server to have people test it out. If not, then we'll put it onto as an experimental mode in the game, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're planning on implementing the test server at some point in the relatively near future then?
That's a very big goal. Again, a lot of stuff happening in the background, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are also asking about like wizard spells, because I know that explosion and the arcane lock or whatever was something that was teased by SDF. I don't know, probably a month ago, maybe a little bit more. Is that something that is still being looked at being included, or has that been shifted because of a different reason?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know the answer to that. So that's something I would have to talk with SDF to find out. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, chat. No, so mechanic related stuff is like SDF question. That's why I said this is typically about content. There are a lot of people are asking about shared stashes.
Yeah. So again, so we had those kind of internal discussions. Again, we didn't have a actual, result come out from that. So just, never say never on that, right? It's like,
yeah, they said they were never doing an auction house, and you guys kept putting the heat to them, and they caved. So,
we learned.
And then with this, I think we already covered this, but with this next patch, there are going to be some like new weapons and armor and craftables being added, correct?
So I don't think there's going to be any new mechanical new weapons. I know we have some in the works, but I don't think it's coming out this patch.
Okay.
But because, we have the new attributes, so there has to be new equipment that lets you build that up. Otherwise, everyone's going to be stuck at their normal, the starting HP, right? Or starting attack speed. So we're going to be working on stuff like that.
Okay, I've got one guy that has spammed the same question maybe 70 times.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 70 times. He writes in all caps repeatedly, hardcore leaderboard self found no trade permadeath ? ! Repeating like 70 times. So there are people that want there to be like a hardcore mode with permadeath. If they go in and they die, they permanently die, and they want you to do that instead of them just hitting a delete key themselves for whatever reason. Maybe because they don't have the constitution to do it themselves. I don't know. Is that something that you guys are going to be looking to implement?
So I might be revealing a little too much. Is one of the things, the reason we want to get the test server out there is maybe utilize the test server for even more extreme kind of modes and stuff. And so that was one of, so it's a non-answer right now because I can't commit to SSF mode right now. And it's not going to be easy
solo
to
self-found
implement
isn't something yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if one of the motivations for getting that test server out there is that once we get that out there, is that we could start actually doing a lot of custom kind of modes to experiment with, and just say, hey guys, if you want to really try this out, just do it on the test server, right? And we could probably, if we had that capacity later on, we could just say like, hey, there's a SSF test server here. That's all we're going to be testing. And if you want to play SSF mode or Ironman, hardcore Ironman, just go to the server, and that's all, So
okay, yeah, I think that would be
one of
fun
the
stuff to test
behind doing that test server. Yeah.
Okay.
And if the response is good enough there, is who knows, right? That could just become a permanent fixture. We just, scale that. It's like
I think hey. when you go through seasons, having different like seasonal mechanics or like things that you could try to achieve would be pretty fun. Like if there is a hardcore mode, if you're able to get to level 20 without dying, maybe you get some cool like little unlock for your account, some cosmetic or something. That would be pretty neat.
Yeah, and if that becomes more popular than the normal version, it's like, hey, that's a win-win for us too. It's like, hey,
right.
We just discovered a new game mode that's even more popular, right? So again, these are things that are contingent on, okay, we got to get to the next step first, get the test server ready and stuff, and then we'll have, and then build out the team. We need more resources, we need more people, we need more developers here to help us get to that point. But once we get to that, I think the future is very bright for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think that's going to conclude our discussion. Terry, thanks so much for spending the time you did. I know it looks like it was like about a couple of hours here, so you answered a ton of questions. I think everybody's pretty hyped up for the patch coming. I mean, there's a lot of content here. I think the new boss will be fun to get clapped by. Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that came out and joined us, and just for sticking with us. I know it's not been an easy ride, but the main thing is that we've done it together, and we've learned. Seriously, we've learned a tremendous amount going through this together. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Thanks a lot, man. And we'll talk to you later on.
All right, thank you.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Have a good night, man.
evening.
See
Have
you
a good
later.
morning. All around the world. Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye. All right, chat. So there's the whole thing. All right, let me fix this. Transform. If I can. Transform. Yeah, flip this thing. Where is it? Transform. Flip horizontal. Where is it? There. There we go. All right. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Like the webcam or whatever, when you do virtual camera from OBS, it just kind of like flips it for some reason. Okay, so just to recap, so that everybody's on the same page, from stuff that Terry said. So early access patch 2. All right, quick recap. There's going to be a quest system, version 0.1. All right, he said that there's about 30 quests that are going to be added for the patch. The patch is tentatively slated for a week from Wednesday, November 22nd, in the evening GMT. So it will be in the morning Korea time. It will be in the morning on the 23rd for them when they get into the office. It'll be the evening GMT on the 22nd. So probably late evening if you're GMT. So in addition, they're adding an adventure tier ranking system, and we saw that. So here's the adventure tier ranking system. They're adding a tier results screen, so high roller results screen, and then running detailed player statistics so that you can look at what you're doing. Now, again, try not to pay so much attention to like the rewards that are listed or anything, because that is just placeholder stuff, as is the red circle and like all the other art that's here. All that stuff is just placeholder stuff. It's really just like the stat like construction as a focal point, just to give you an idea of what they're kind of going with. But none of this stuff is set in stone. Okay. And then we also have, and this is the quest mockup screen. So this is, again, like 30 quests or so. There's going to be a reputation system built in. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but the idea is that the higher your reputation builds with a trader, the more stuff they will have available for you to purchase. Very similar to other reputation systems we've seen in other games. And then obviously we have a new Goblin Cave boss, which is the Cyclops, that looks like this. If I can get him played, here we go. And again, he's not final. This is just a mock-up that was done like really quick. Okay, that's just a mock-up that was done really quick for the Cyclops. Obviously it's missing like shading and shadows and looks a little disjointed from the map. But again, like the idea was just to give us an idea of what that was going to look like for, again, all of this would be next week. In addition to that, it's likely that we will see a friends list implemented. There's an experimental MMR system that they're going to include. They are also breaking up strength. Right now, it gives HP and damage. They're breaking up strength into a vigor stat that's going to be 75% weighted toward health, and then 25% weighted toward damage, and then strength will be 75% weighted towards damage and 25% toward health. And then the same type of thing is being done for agility. Agility is being broken up into agility, which will be run speed, and then dexterity will be like action speed and interaction speed and that kind of stuff. Along with resourcefulness, that will be dexterity. They're going to be doing more character building through fixed items. So more useful primary stats on items, the white stats on items, and they're implementing more craftable items in game with the next patch. And then they're working on polishing up and finalizing like the counts of and like when portals open for the fixed portals for the threes map. When those open, the fixed portal taking you down to Inferno, et cetera, et cetera. And then from there's stretch goal stuff. So they don't want to, and this is something that Terry wanted. I don't think he ended up mentioning. They did a lot of wipes over this last series of testing over the last 3 months. They don't want to wipe the game for at least 2 to 3 months at a time unless it's absolutely required, like game-breaking stuff that we saw, like with exploits and ruining the economy and whatnot. And then eventually what they want to try and do as a stretch goal thing, like after this patch, is have like a unified high roller dungeon where they have server consolidation. So you would go into crypts, or not crypts. You would go into ruins, and then ruins would lead to crypts, and crypts would lead to Inferno, and then there would be like consolidating of players from different games into those future levels, so that the modes are relatively full of other players, and then you have competition instead of just having it turn into like a PvE loot run. Stuff that might happen in December, but most likely not for the new level. He said most likely it's going to be January because they have one guy that does all of like the monster creation stuff. They have an ice world, an ice biome with its own monsters, an ice dragon, etc. That will likely end up being a stretch goal for after December into January. They're looking at adding the Druid at some point, hopefully by the end of the year. The talent tree and training system will likely end up being late December, if not into January. And then the auction house implementation will be soon, at some point in December as a target. There's no, and again, it's not going to be like an auction house where you're going to put up things for bid. It'll be more like a flea market with people that are just going to have like buy it now stuff. Going into the new year, they're looking at having an arena build mode, building out the quest system even further, and then you will have like your own like chambers at the tavern that you can customize with, you know, your own, I assume furniture and decorations and whatnot. So that's everything. And I think that's pretty much everything. Right? I think that's pretty much everything. There will be a wipe. Yes, the game will wipe on like when the patch releases. So tentatively Wednesday next week, the 22nd, there will be a wipe, a full wipe. You get to retain your characters and their names, but everything will go back to level 1. Your entire inventory gets wiped out. You will lose all of your stash tabs if you purchased any. Everything goes back to square one. Okay, no Druid next week, unfortunately, boys. They said it's not ready yet. The problem with the Druid is that shape-shifting is turning out to be a little bit more challenging because the idea is that you're going to turn into an actual bear, but you have to turn into a bear and look through the eyes of a bear as you're like, you know, sauntering through the dungeon. You're a bear. So to do that in first person is not an easy thing, and that's what they're trying to figure out right now. All right? Okay. So with that, I am going to call it a night, boys. It's been a very long day. We will find someone to raid. Jesus, I'm being restreamed by everybody. I will send you. I'm just going to send you to Jay because he's hot. He's hot and sexy, and I love him. All right. You guys can go tell Jay that he's an attractive 5'11" gentleman. He's actually 6'2", but you can tell him that I said he's 5'11". He fucking hates it when I do that. All right. And I will see you guys first thing in the morning tomorrow when I get up. All right. Love you all. Thank you to everybody that decided to watch on YouTube. For everybody that decided to sub today, if you're a primer, thank you for being a primer. Love you guys. Thank you for carrying it. You guys are the best. And we'll see you tomorrow, okay? Love you guys. Peace.